Hello and welcome to Glanbia's Dairy Focus. In this episode we will visit open source future farmer Shane Fitzgerald. But first we also have TJ Phelan explaining a few timely tips on early season fertiliser application in this video here. But now let's go to open source future farmer Shane Fitzgerald, where he takes us around to calf housing and talks to us about how he's feeding this year's crop of calves.
So the calving's progressing well at the moment. We have over half the cows calves, so there's 112 calves on the ground as we speak. There's nothing that's being sold at the moment, so all the bull calves are still here. The plan is to sell them maybe tomorrow, maybe or early next week. So I suppose we don't want to get too overstocked in the sheds and to compromise calf health. But at the moment, like, the calves are stocked a bit higher in the pens. We do when they're younger, like when they're about a week to 10 days old, especially they're more higher stocked in the pens just for warmth more so than anything, especially when the weather's a bit colder. And we've no problem with getting them trained onto the feeders. Once you take them away and give them the bottle, they drink and very well. So they go on to the 10 heated feeder, and we leave them on that. Then for the heifer calves, they stay about around a week, and then they go on to the automatic calf feeder then and onto milk replacer. And they'll always be drinking 6 litres of milk when they go onto the feeder, and we keep them on to 6 litres then of milk replacer. And the bull calves will stay on the trucks then for approximately 2.5 to 3 weeks. We have a calf trolley as well with a pump for feeding them, so it takes out a bit of the workload. And then I suppose the heifer calves, they'll have access to start a calf and to straw almost straight away. They mightn't need much in the first week or so, but they have access to it anyway. Just the straws go for the roughage and the start calf as well, just to get the rumen developed. And they have the water once they go onto the automatic feeder. As we go into, I suppose, March and April, we do get more issues with, I suppose, our roofs are lower than we would like. So we have a ventilation system in the shed. It's a big tube, it blows in fresh air, but it doesn't create a draft. I suppose at calf level, it's up higher, so it keeps the air nice and fresh, because I suppose we just know when we get into March and April, when the weather gets warmer and milder, we will get problems with calves coughing over the years. So we do have to be wary of that, and it's a great help, I suppose, from calf health perspective again.
Now, the next step in our visit to Shane Fitzgerald farm is actually where he talks to us about the start of the grazing season.
So we have about 50% calf, a little bit over. I think there's 53% calf at the moment. So cows are in at the moment. They've been in and out over the last week or so, and it looks like they're going to be in for the next few days. So we haven't got through as much grass as we had planned. There's only 4% of the farm grazed at the moment. I suppose when all cows are calved, we're going to be at a stock rate of 2.4 altogether. We have an 89 hectare milking platform. We have access to all the land across the road as well. So I think our problem is going to be to try and get through all the grass. We're not going to run out of grass. The grazing is challenging at the moment, so you have to pick your driest field and your most easily accessible one. So even though at the moment the field they're grazing, there's a cover of 1,000 on it, it's a bit higher than normal, but it was close to the yard. It's a long, narrow field, and there's plenty of access into it, so I can back fence it, and good access to water as well. The cows are going out with an appetite as well, so they're hungry, and they don't go back over what they've grazed as much as possible. Try to keep them off that, so using on-off grazing, they're out for 2 or 3 hours during the day if possible. And even in the evening time, we might milk a bit earlier. We might start maybe at say 3 o'clock even, and the cows would be gone out by 5, half 4 or 5. We could bring them back in then at half 7, 8 o'clock. We've spread 3/4 of the farm with 2,500 gallons of good slurry with the trail and shoe as well. We've no chemical nitrogen out yet, but we do plan on getting out hopefully maybe with some protected urea. And those fields didn't get the slurry maybe by the end of the month or early March. So the cows, when they're in full time, they're around 6 kilos a meal, and they're on good quality sizes, about 73.5 DMD. When they're out getting any bit of grassland diet at all, they're on to their 4 kilos a meal. So it's good, I'd say. They're definitely not over fat, but they're getting no problems with milk fever. I'd say they're fit, I'd say. They're fit, not fat, that's the way I describe them. Like and they have a good appetite. You would notice, I think, when they calf, I've seen before, maybe if cows are a bit over conditions, their appetite wouldn't be as good, and they're milking well, so they're clean and everything. So
I hope you enjoyed that short virtual visit to Shane Fitzgerald farm, and if you want any more information on calf husbandry, please look into the Glanbia's Dairy Calf Management Guidelines. If you missed last week's Teagasc webinar on milk recording, which featured Glanbia supplier Tom Murphy, you can actually watch this video and see how Tom uses milk recording in his herd management. Or obviously talk to your local Glanbia representative or log on to glanbiaconnect.com.